Welcome, one and all, to another Sudrian Introductions, the show where we dive into the history of the engines that keep the island of Sodor running strong. Today we will be focusing on one of the oldest engines on the Northwestern Railway, Edward. Edward was built to work on the Furness and serve as their premier express engine. He had a 440 wheelbasis, which allowed him to reach a speed of 80 miles an hour. Not many engines were able to go that fast at the time, so this made Edward unique. As it goes with most express engines, Edward became quite full of himself due to his speed. From the way he talked, you would have mistaken him for Gordon. He thought he was too good for trucks and scoffed at any work involving them. An engine of my caliber shouldn't have to pull such filthy things, he would say. Instead, Edward put all his efforts into running his passenger trains well. Every day he would provide a swift and comfortable service along the Furness Railway main line. His journey would terminate at a station called Barrow, where he'd exchange passengers with engines working on a neighbouring railway. After being coaled, watered and turned around, he would make his return trip back down the line. Since Edward wasn't the only engine capable of pulling the express, he'd often rotate with some of them. When Edward wasn't speeding down the line, he was pulling local passenger trains. These slower runs gave him an opportunity to take it easy and not wear himself out. With the constant flow of goods and passengers, the Furness Railway was very profitable. However, it wasn't perfect and they had their problems. Now, I can't speak for all of them, but the FR had its fair share of lazy or unmotivated workmen. Due to their negligence, trains weren't loaded when they needed to be, timetables weren't organised, and maintenance on the rolling stock wasn't kept up. At most, they were minor inconveniences and were easily put right with some stern words from the manager. Unfortunately, these minor inconveniences had major consequences. The aftermath of that accident was terrible. The FR lost a great deal of money. On top of losing a very profitable goods contract, their passenger numbers dropped dramatically. They just didn't feel safe travelling along their railway anymore. Before long, buses and lorries were their downfall, and I'm sorry to say the Furness Railway was shut down. Edward and his colleagues were devastated. Their home had been stripped away from them, and there wasn't anything they could do to stop it. The engine sat in the sheds for what felt like ages, until one day the manager finally came to see them. He expressed his deepest apologies for not taking better care of the railway. He felt awful and made sure Edward, as well as the other engines, had been reassigned to good railways. A collective sigh of relief was had among the engines, as they all feared the worst up to that point. After many days of preparation, it was time for Edward to depart from the Furness Railway. He was sad he had to leave, but was excited to start a new chapter of his life on a new railway. Edward gave a cheerful toot goodbye and made his way to Sodor. Over the years, Edward has been humbled by Sodor. He's much older, wiser, and one of the most knowledgeable engines you'll ever meet. Edward is looked up to by many of the engines, whether they want to admit it or not. Truly an outstanding locomotive indeed. That's all for today, folks. Join us next time when we discuss another engine on Sundry and Introductions. Thank you for watching.